Well, let's talk about that, because this is essential to understanding whether we create our life matter to matter in separation, or we actually create from the field, from a frequency of energy, to begin to produce effects in three-dimensional reality in the material world. So you and I have been trained to pay attention in a certain way. Tie your shoe, watch the stairs, watch the car. You could fall down and break your neck. And the alarm of paying attention as a kid causes us to narrow our focus on the material world. We narrow our focus on physical things. And when the arousal of those emergency chemicals are heightened, it causes our senses to become heightened. And the very fact of becoming materialists causes us to experience three-dimensional reality in separation. In other words, everything physical, whether it's an object, a place, a person, a body, whatever it is, we experience through our senses, and I'm here and you're there, and there's space between us, and if there's space between us, there's time between us. And so if I'm here in three-dimensional reality and I say I want to go to my car, I have to become aware that I'm here. That's one point of awareness. And my car is another point of awareness. So I'm separate from my car. So now I get up and I move my body through space. And when I move through space, I experience time. If I want to shorten the time, I move faster. If I want to lengthen the time, I move slower. So then there's me here, and then people have their dreams, whatever they are, their wealth, their health, their freedom. And in their mind, because they understand the process of getting things, they say, okay, I'm going to get that new house. And they start dreaming about that new house. And then they say, okay, how am I going to get that house? Okay, I'm going to work more hours. I'm going to sacrifice and save these things. I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to work on the weekends. And they're figuring it out as a predictable matter-to-matter outcome. And so they're living in lack and separation because they place their dreams 2 years, 5 years, 10 years in the future based on what they know about themselves and accomplishing it in the past. They're living, waiting for the event to occur in lack and separation so they can feel the emotion of the, well, why do people want abundance? They want to be free. So they're waiting for their abundance to occur to feel freedom. And so the whole entire life, they're living in lack and separation for that event to occur. Now, that's okay because that's creating matter to matter. That's creating in separation. If you are going to begin to create from the field instead of from matter, something amazing happens to us automatically. Like if you see someone in that car, you see someone with that wardrobe, you see someone with that hairstyle, you see someone with those things, and you experience separation or lack, your brain naturally starts seeing that you could have that. The next thing you know, you see the car, and then you pause for a moment, and your brain starts putting you in the scene. You're driving the car, you're wearing the scarf, you're wearing the wardrobe, you're getting those things. Your brain naturally, because we're creators, begins to imagine. The problem is that people are so impatient that when it doesn't happen, they come back to their senses, they're back to three-dimensional reality, and it doesn't occur. Now they experience more separation. So what do? If you're in lack, you're in separation, and you're in survival, you force outcomes, you control outcomes, you try to manipulate outcomes, you fight for those outcomes because you're matter trying to change matter. And so there's only a certain number of things we can do. We can compete, we can do whatever, but for the most part, we're enslaved into three-dimensional reality. And the hormones of stress then give the body a rush of adrenaline, and we feel our body more. And the arousal causes us to put our attention on our environment, on objects and people and places and things, and we're thinking about the predictable future, trying to predict the future based on the past. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all your attention and energy is immersed in this three-dimensional reality. And now you got to play by the rules, and everything takes time for you to get. So We teach people how to take their attention off their body, off the people in their life, off the things they own, the objects they have, the places they need to go, not think about the future and the past. Train them with a formula to get beyond themselves and disconnect from all of their attention and energy out of this three-dimensional reality. Take their attention off of everything that's known. And if you do that properly and you're not aware of your body, you're not aware of the people in your life that you identify with, you're not thinking about your cell phone or any object, you're not thinking about where you're sitting, where you work, where you need to go, you're not thinking about the future or the past, you're in the present moment, then what are you? Your consciousness. And now that is the eye of the needle that passes you through to the quantum field. You can't enter that place as a somebody. You got to enter as a nobody. And turns out that our research shows that when people do this properly, now there's elegant changes that take place in the brain and in the heart. Now all of a sudden, instead of in survival, drawing from that invisible field of energy and information surrounding your body and mobilizing it into chemistry, and the field around your body shrinks, you become more matter and less energy. When people dissociate from everything known in their life and they take their attention off of their body, their environment, and time, now all of a sudden energy moves into the heart. We've measured this 1,000 times. Energy moves right back into the brain. And now all of a sudden, the brain starts getting very synchronized, very organized, and there's a cadence that's created in the brain. And by the same means, they're slowing down their brain waves and they're getting beyond their analytical mind, their thinking neocortex. And the brain gets highly organized. The heart begins to become organized. The heart produces a field around the body. It's energy. That energy is a frequency. Frequency carries information. And now they have the energy, once energy makes it here, to lay a thought on that frequency. And now they got a Wi-Fi signal. Now they're connected to something greater. Once energy makes it to their heart, they're not feeling lack and separation. How could you feel lack when you're feeling whole? How could you look for your dream to happen when you feel like it's already happened? And people are changing their energy. They're connecting to information. They're suggestible. They're able to access frequency that's carrying information, not through their senses, but through the field. And when they do this properly, and we could actually predict it, there is a dramatic change that takes place in the person where they have an inner event that seems more real than any external event in their life. And this is the moment where they connect to something greater. And this is the moment where when they finish their experience and their inward process, they feel like it's already happened. Now, if you feel like your future has already happened, you feel the emotion before it's happened, you wouldn't be looking for it when it would happen, because that would mean you're separate from it. If you feel like it's happened, why would you look for it? There's no place to look. You're in the present moment. And it's this kind of energetic shift that begins to cause those synchronicities and those coincidences and all those wonderful events that start showing people, wow, I'm actually creating my life. Now, they're less responsive to the circumstances in their life, because the moment they start reacting to the circumstances, and I say to them, why did you react, or what's wrong with you? If they say, oh, it's that person that's causing me to feel and think this way, then they're back to the unconscious program of victimization. And so people start to figure it out, and they say, no person, no circumstance, no condition in my life is going to cause me to fall from this energy. And when they're in a different energy then, and if they keep practicing it, the word meditation means to become familiar with. You got to be able to maintain that internal order independent of any condition in your environment. And if you do that properly, you start seeing see feedback in your environment that you're creating from the field. And now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. when there's a vibrational match between brain and heart coherence in some future, you got a radio signal and you're tuned into that frequency. Now you don't go through space to experience what you want. You're connected to that unified field. If you're connected to source, why would you go anywhere? You would draw it to you, and all of a sudden you start becoming the magnet to your experiences. And this is when it gets exciting, because when you're feeling wholeness and you're not feeling lack and you're not waiting for the event to occur, then all of a sudden wealth doesn't become as important. I mean, the moment you start feeling wholeness, that's when your healing begins. The moment you start feeling gratitude, that's the moment you're drawing experiences to you. So we're teaching people how to change that process. And I just think that these times, more than ever, are a wake-up call for everybody to really start looking and becoming conscious and really seeing how they're going to emerge from this experience. And by the way, in a time when there's separation, in a time when there's isolation, when there's a time when there's some quarantine and fear that creates this kind of separation, I said to my community, oh, no, this is a time for us to unify. And we have research to show you don't need to be in someone's physical presence to cause them to feel love. In fact, we've done research to show that when you get a group of people together and they all start opening their hearts and they start synchronizing their energy and they have the thought of somebody, because these are people that are trained now, they have a thought of a group of people or somebody that their life be enriched, that their body be healed. And we're watching a non-local effect of a person's heart going into coherence, being influenced by energy. Wow. Then I said to my community, well, now more than ever, we have to unify as a community. And we have to then, in a new consciousness, in a non-local way, create a greater understanding and unify in this time. And it's love that bonds us. The frequency, the energy of love is what creates connection. And we have to just get here. And so this is the time in history now where a new consciousness has to be born. And it's not one individual. That's the wrong interpretation of the prophecy. It's a collective consciousness that is built in a higher frequency. And frequency is energy. And energy carries information, carries consciousness. And so we have to move to a greater level of consciousness than the consciousness of this condition.